Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in and welcome back once again to the channel. It's always a pleasure to have you check what we have to say on this platform. And if this is your first time tuning in, they call me MisterJaay, and on this platform, we are proudly Movalandian. And today we are going to talk about something a little bit different. And the fan reached out to me and asked me what I thought about the government of Rwanda closing down over 5,000 churches. So we are going to dive into that. We will talk about it. But before we do get started, please do not forget, man, it would be an honor to have you be part of the family. Let's not talk too much. Hit that subscribe button, smash that like, man, and share. And do not forget to always leave your comment, man. We are together. So let's get right into it. Ladies and gentlemen, this whole notion or this whole concept of Pentecostal evangelism and religion, it's a very delicate subject, but I will try my best to be diplomatic in the way I give you my own take on what this brother asked me now. We all know that all through Africa, man, the dominant religion nowadays is that of the Pentecostal faith. And it is so unfortunate, or should I say, it is so disgusting to see that certain quote-unquote men of God have taken this whole movement to a self-enriching thing. They've taken it to a self-enriching activity in which the real purpose of religion, the real purpose of praise and worship has been turned into kind of like a business venture. That being said, man, let's talk about the whole situation in Rwanda where the government of President Paul Kagame decided to shut over 5,000 churches. Now, if you can remember, about 5 years ago, the president of Rwanda came out, and his government, they sent out a communique and told every pastors, and they sent out certain rules and regulations that they told every pastors that there are certain rules and regulations that you guys must meet. If you do not meet up to this, we will close your church. So this is not something which just happened out of the blue. This has been, they advises people 5 years in advance. Now you would say, but Mr. J, what did the government of Rwanda say 5 years ago? Now, for those of you who've not been following up what is happening, because I actually did read that article about the president of the government of Rwanda telling these churches, you know what? There are certain norms and rules that I do believe out in the West, or I do believe that it is but necessary for churches or for an organization to have. So I will say this: a church is kind of like a religious organization. And of course, you live in a society where there are norms, rules and regulations, constitutions. You cannot just operate just because you call yourself, quote unquote, a church in a country or in a system at will. You definitely need to follow certain rules and regulations. Now, if you don't follow certain rules and regulations, especially those governing a country, of course, you are not supposed to be in business in that country. 2018, the government of Rwanda published and asked a whole lot of these churches to adhere to certain rules and regulations that they sent to them. The first one is this: to be a church, if you want to own a church in Rwanda, first of all, the pastor must show proof of a degree in theology. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to go back and forth with this old ish, but I do believe that to be a pastor, you should be able to at least show proof that you have studied theology. Now, I believe everybody knows what theology is. You cannot tell me that you can understand the Bible perfectly without studying some form of theology, because theology and the Bible go hand in hand. But what happens nowadays across Africa is what? Somebody goes into some kind of like a vocational training program for a year, a couple of months, and then they come out, they say they are pastors. Some do not even go for any vocational training, and they come out and call themselves, oh, I'm pastor of this, I'm bishop this, I'm bishop that. Mind you, this is not an attack on your Pentecostal preachers and whatnot, but these are what the government of Rwanda depicted. So you have 5 years to show me a degree in theology. Now, looking at the system of education across Africa, you do not need 5 years to bag a degree. You need 3 years. Now, that was 2018. Ladies and gentlemen, the next thing that this government in Rwanda stipulated back in the day, back then, was that to operate a church, you need to ensure that you meet up to the infrastructural levels of owning a church. What do I mean by that? If your church, you build a church, you have a building in your church, you need to have a fire extinguisher. B, you need to ensure that the capacity of that building, you do not surpass that building's capacity. For example, it is very common nowadays, you go to a church, a building that was constructed to handle maybe 1,000 people, you go out there, you see more than 3,000 people. And then they will tell you that there is a overflow. I mean, that right there is a hazard about to happen. You feel me? Secondly, if you construct a church building, you need to ensure that you have bathrooms that can handle every population in. You cannot construct a building for your church for maybe 1,000 people and then you have just one bathroom or even 2 bathrooms. You need to have at least 10 to 15 bathrooms, because people will be in your church, and it is very common that in these Pentecostal churches, they can go for services for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours. Of course, people will need to go to the restroom, you understand. Now, the other stipulation that the government of Rwanda demanded of these folks is this. If you are opening a church, you need to ensure that you have enough parking space for your Christians, for your congregation. You cannot build a church and then you have parking for just 5 vehicles. Of course, the reason for you building that church is that you are expecting multitudes to come in. And then when multitudes come in, they start parking on other people's properties, or they start parking their cars out of your premises. Now, these are pragmatic and these are normal things to ask for his country. The government of Rwanda did that. 5 years into this whole thing, some of these churches have still not met up to these requirements. And of course, they will go on and start talking about, oh, this man is persecuting Christian, this man is against religion, this man doesn't like the preaching of God. No. You are in my country, you need to follow the rules and regulations, and you cannot come off with this whole mumbo jumbo nonsense that, oh, because he banned these churches, which of course he has the right to do. This has absolutely zero thing to do with, oh, he's not Christian, he doesn't want Christianity to flow, because this is what some of these Pentecostal preachers have been saying about this whole banning of churches in Rwanda. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that you are a church doesn't mean that you need to disrespect or you need to break the laws governing a country. We have constitutions, and when the government of a country puts in place a law, you need to abide by it. Don't come off and start talking about, oh, you do not abide by any law, but you abide by heavenly law, this and that. Your mandate comes from heaven. This is a big lie. And talking about all of these things, as the leader of a country, you need to put your foot down. You need to ensure that these folks respect the law. Now, let's talk about the real reason why some of these preachers are angry. Some of them were told to close their churches after not meeting up to these stipulations by the government, and they clandestinely did not do that. They continued That is disrespecting the sovereign. Of course, there you have to pay a fine, you have to pay a fee. If it's banning or you abide by those laws, you feel me? Now we all know what is happening in Africa with all these Pentecostal churches. We all know the gimmicks. We all know that some of these folks are out there to make money, and some of them are not even qualified, which is the reason why majority of these folks are wealthy folks. And then when you look at the people in their churches, these are poor people. It's kind of like they brainwash these people to give their money to them. But hey, I'm not just gonna end here, but I'm gonna throw the ball back at you. What do you think? Is this something that all the governments around Africa need to implement? Because this whole Pentecostal and evangelism in Africa is actually going out of hand. What do you think? Leave a comment. That's my time. Be good. Stay blessed.